Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. It's been a long time. Actually, I've been quite busy, so I didn't get time to do some recording. However, I'm here now and I'm glad to be back. I trust you all are doing great. Okay, now on today's video, I want to quickly talk on how to know when you are facing a spiritual attack in your marriage. You know, the last time I did a video on the realities of spiritual attacks in marriage, and if you have not seen that video, I want to encourage you to go and see that video. To go a very long way to help you. You know, there are lots and lots of couples today who are going through spiritual attacks in their marriage and they don't even know that that is what they are actually going through. You know, so that particular video, I used it to lay a foundation on some of the realities that should not be ignored when it comes to your marriage. Now, for today's video, I want to talk about, you know, some of the signs that you will use to know if what you are facing in your marriage is spiritual or not. Because see, a lot of times the challenge is that when people face these things, they don't even know that, oh, this thing I'm going through is actually a spiritual attack. You get the point now? So I'm going to be addressing some of these, and I believe it to go a very long way to help you, okay, and help your friends and families, anyone who loves to listen to something like this. Now, if this is your first time coming to this channel, on this channel we'll talk about marriage, we'll talk about relationship, we'll talk about love and everything in between. So if you have not subscribed, consider subscribing, and don't forget to click on the notification bell so that the next time we post a new video, you will be the first to receive that video. Now let's get right into it. The first sign to know if your marriage is facing a spiritual attack, the first thing, listen very carefully, and this is so important. The first thing is sudden fight, sudden misunderstanding. You know, that moment when everything was okay prior to this time, and all of a sudden you and your spouse, you start getting into frequent misunderstanding, frequent arguments. You know, it keeps happening again and again, and sometimes it gets really heated. Now, when you begin to see that happening frequently, then it's a proof that your marriage is going through a spiritual attack. And one of the best things you can do is to address it now that it is still very early. A lot of time, most people, they just ignore these signs and until it becomes a problem in the long run. So the first thing you must look out for is sudden fights, sudden misunderstanding, arguments again and again, yelling at each other. You know, the both of you are irritating each other. All these are signs. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is that you begin to discover the interest that the both of you have for each other begins to wane. Suddenly you see that you want to spend less and less time with your spouse. Whenever you begin to notice this, hear me, the devil has crept in. Anything that makes you to begin to desire less of your spouse, you don't want to see your spouse the way you used to want it. You don't want your spouse to be around you. You prefer to be in the midst of other people than to be with your spouse. The moment you are beginning to experience this, listen carefully, the devil has crept in. Your marriage is already under a spiritual attack, and it is in your best interest that you handle it now that it is still early. You get the point now? Because it is not normal. That's the truth. For some people, they feel that these things are normal. Listen, it is not normal. Because come to think of it, what happened? What happened all these years, all this time, the both of you are not able to do without each other. There is always this desire, this yearning to be with your spouse. Whenever your spouse is not around, you miss your spouse, and suddenly you don't want to be with your spouse any longer. You need to know that this is not ordinary. It has to be dealt with. Now, the third sign to look out for to know if your marriage is under a spiritual attack is when there is a prolonged, you know, financial challenge. It just keeps happening. You know, initially when it started for 1 month. From 1 month, it has gone to 3 months. From 3 months, it has gone to 6 months, 1 year. Now it's been 3 years, 5 years, and you discover that you guys are no longer able to meet up with your bills. You know, all channels of income are closing up. You know, in most cases, you begin to even get into that place of debt. Now, when you discover this, don't look further. Don't think it's strange. It is a spiritual attack. That's the truth. It is a spiritual attack, and you've got to do something about it. You don't wait. I'm going to share with you what you've got to do, but you've got to do something about it. Now, the next sign, the next thing thing that you need to look out for is when there is health issue, afflictions. Suddenly, there is this thing happening with one of the partners, either the man or the woman. Whenever you notice such a thing and it is refusing to get healed, even after going to the hospitals again and again, and it just remains, you guys are spending money in that direction, then it is a clear indication that your marriage, or rather your union, is under a spiritual attack. And the whole idea, the aim of the devil is to make sure that all your resources is channeled in that direction. All your focus is channeled in that direction. If, for example, there were a certain project that you and your spouse, you were planning prior to this time, you can no longer plan for that project again. You can no longer channel your resources in that direction. That very health issue becomes the new project, and all your money, your focus, your tears, everything, effort goes in that direction. And there are lots and lots of couples today who have hit rock bottom as a result of these evil activities of the devil. And if you notice this, you must deal with it as quickly as possible, because the earlier you deal with it, the better for you and your spouse. The next sign to look out for is that moment when you begin to think negative thoughts towards your spouse. There are people today, their spouse did not do anything to them, but somehow they just find themselves thinking strange thoughts about leaving the spouse, thoughts about going for divorce, always looking for fault here and there. All these are signs of a spiritual attack. So when you begin to notice these things, don't just overlook it. Don't just feel that it just came. No, it didn't just come, because from the beginning it was not so. The question is, what went wrong? This is some of the questions that people do not ask. What went wrong? A lot of times when people begin to go through challenges like these, they don't ask questions. They just feel, oh, it will soon be over. It will soon be over. And it will soon be over. 3 months is gone. 6 months is gone. 1 year is gone. 2 years is gone. And in most cases, the children grow up to, meet this kind of environment that is existing in the family. And when it comes to this, a lot of times, even the children may even go as far as inheriting some of these spiritual issues. And this is why you see, as a couple, you must not joke with spirituality. I keep saying it again and again. Marriage is spiritual. That's the truth. That marriage union, that entity, it's a spiritual ground. And if you are going to excel in it, you must be spiritually alert. You must be spiritually capable. You must be armed with all the necessary things that you require to win that battle. And this is so important. Okay, so I just want to encourage you. Maybe you're listening to me right now and you have noticed some of these things going on in your family, and somehow you're thinking maybe it's not normal. Another sign to watch out for, also, this one is for couples who just newly got married. That moment when there is delay in the fruit of the womb, that is also a sign. Yes, you heard me right. It is a sign of a spiritual attack. A lot of times you see couples, they've waited 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years without babies. Listen carefully. When you begin to experience this, it is not normal. It is spiritual attack. And then there is another bonus point that I want to give to you here. Now, this one is for couple who have children now. A lot of times you begin to notice that your children are becoming rebellious, or maybe they are failing so much in school, okay? They are not going in the line that they are supposed to go. When you begin to notice any lapses with your children, okay, don't just overlook it, because that could also be a spiritual attack. Yes, that's the truth. In some cases, the children begin to fall ill. They begin to fall ill again and again. You see a couple, they are always going to the hospital, always going to the hospital. All these are spiritual attacks on that home. They may not know it, they may not think that is what it is, but that is the truth. And this is why you see, as a couple, God must be your number one priority. The activities of the things of God, it must be your number one priority. Because if you are going to tackle these things, then God must be in the picture. If you are part of those couples today who have relegated the Lord or the things of the Spirit, they've relegated it to the backstage, then you guys are going to have to travel a rough road in life. That's the truth. Because you've got to understand, marriage is God's idea. If you're going to succeed in it, you cannot succeed in it without God's opinion and without the dictates that God has put on ground. You get the point now? So that's something that you need to watch out for. Now, the big question is, how do I tackle this issue? Now, I'm going to be bringing that to you in our next video because I don't want this video to be too long. So in the next video, I'm going to be sharing with you some key points on how you can tackle this issue. Until then, I just want to encourage you to give this video a thumbs up. If you have gotten any value from it, drop me a comment. Let me know what resonated with you. And don't forget to share with your friends, share with your family members. There are lots and lots of couples out there who are going through these things and they don't even know that what they are facing is actually a spiritual attack. That's the truth. So share with them, share with them. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel because there is so much you stand to gain from this very channel. Until then, I will see you in the next video. Keep basking in the glory of God. God bless you.